Your baby stares at the ceiling fan like it's the most fascinating thing in the world, and you laugh it off as nothing. But what if that blank little stare is actually one of the earliest signs of something remarkable happening inside your baby's brain? Right now, in the first years of life, your baby's brain is forming more neural connections per second than at any other point in their entire life. Some of what looks like doing nothing is actually the most intense cognitive construction project a human being will ever undergo. And by the time we get to number 7, you'll probably realize your baby has been showing you this sign since the very first week. You just didn't know what you were looking at. This isn't about pushing your baby to be gifted, and it's not about comparing them to other kids. This is about learning to see what's already there. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going through 7 real, research-backed signs that your baby's brain is developing in a remarkably active, high-capacity way. Number 1. They stare at things longer than you'd expect. You hand your baby a toy, and instead of grabbing it right away, they just look, really look. It can feel like they're zoning out. This looks like disinterest, but developmentally, it's the opposite. It's called visual fixation, and longer fixation times in infancy have been linked in developmental research to more efficient information processing. Their brain isn't stalling, it's downloading. What's happening underneath is that your baby's visual cortex is building a map of the object, edges, contrast, movement, before deciding what to do with it. A longer stare often means a longer processing pass, not a shorter attention span. Here's the part that might sting a little. It's tempting to interrupt that stare with noise, movement, another toy, because stillness in a baby can feel like something's wrong, but it isn't. One busy day of overstimulation won't undo anything. Babies are resilient, and this is just one small pattern to notice, not a verdict. So today, try this. When your baby locks onto something, just wait. Say quietly, "You're really looking at that, huh?" And let the stare finish on its own. Number 2, they get frustrated easily when something doesn't work the way they expect. A toy doesn't do what it did yesterday, and suddenly you've got a meltdown on your hands. It's easy to read this as a bad mood, but psychologically, this is often a sign of expectation forming. Your baby has built a mental model of how the world should behave, and the frustration is what happens when reality doesn't match the model. You can't get frustrated by a broken expectation unless you had a working one in the first place. This ties into what researchers in cognitive development call violation of expectation. Infants as young as a few months old show measurable surprise responses when something defies a pattern they've already learned. That frustration is evidence of a prediction engine already running. It can feel exhausting to be on the receiving end of that frustration, especially when it seems to come out of nowhere. But this isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign their mind is already comparing what should happen to what did happen, which is a genuinely sophisticated skill. Try narrating it instead of just soothing it. That surprised you. It worked differently this time. You're not fixing the frustration, you're naming it, which helps the pattern building continue. Number 3, they imitate you before you think they're capable of it. You stick your tongue out, and days later, sometimes weeks, your baby does it back, seemingly out of nowhere, in a completely different context. This looks like a coincidence, but it's actually something called deferred imitation, and it points to memory storage happening earlier than most parents assume. Your baby didn't just copy you, they filed the gesture away and pulled it back out later. Underneath this is the beginning of what's sometimes called mirror-based learning. Mirror neuron activity is thought to support imitation, though the exact mechanisms are still being researched. Either way, imitation this delayed requires your baby to hold on to something they saw and reproduce it without you prompting them. If you've ever felt guilty for not doing enough educational activities, let this ease that a little. You don't need flashcards for this kind of learning to happen. It's already built into ordinary moments, like sticking your tongue out at dinner because it made your baby giggle once. Before we go further, if this is landing for you, hit subscribe because we've got 2 more signs coming up, and one of them is the one almost every parent misses completely. Number 4, they pause before reacting to a stranger. Someone new walks up and your baby doesn't cry immediately and doesn't smile immediately either. They just watch for a beat, sometimes several. That pause looks like shyness, but it's actually social referencing in progress. Your baby is checking the new information against what they already know before committing to a response. This connects to co-regulation and attachment research. Babies often glance toward a trusted caregiver's face in an unfamiliar moment to borrow that person's emotional read on the situation. That pause is your baby running a quiet risk assessment using you as the reference point. It's easy to rush to fill that pause, to laugh, to say, "It's okay," to hand the baby over before they've finished processing. There's no harm done if you have. This isn't about anything you got wrong. It's just useful to know the pause itself is doing something. Next time it happens, let your own face stay calm and open for an extra second before you say anything. You're not just comforting them, you're giving their assessment system good data. Number 5. They get more upset by unfairness than by not getting something at all. Your baby doesn't mind missing out on a toy nearly as much as they mind watching someone else get 2 while they get 1. This looks like ordinary sibling-style jealousy, but it's actually early comparative reasoning, the ability to track not just what do I have, but what do I have relative to someone else. That's a more complex calculation than it sounds like. This tracks with a broader body of infant cognition research, showing that very young children can detect inequitable distributions well before they have the language to describe fairness. The outrage isn't bad behavior, it's math. If you've ever felt like your baby is difficult in these moments, that label isn't fair to them. A brain that notices inequity is a brain that's already comparing, counting, and evaluating, all without words yet. Try naming it plainly. You noticed that wasn't equal. You're not solving the unfairness, you're confirming that their read on it was accurate. Number 6, they lose interest in something the moment they've mastered it. You finally get them excited about a toy, they finally figure it out, and then, almost immediately, they're bored and moving on. This looks like a short attention span, but it's actually a sign of a well-calibrated novelty-seeking system. Once something stops being new information, the brain deprioritizes it and searches for the next thing that isn't fully mapped yet. This lines up with what's often described in early learning research as an appetite for information. Babies tend to spend more time attending to things that are moderately novel, not too familiar, not too chaotic, because that's where the most learning happens per second. It can feel like you're constantly chasing their attention, buying toy after toy that gets ignored within a day. That's not a reflection of wasted money or a failed choice on your part. It's actually a sign their learning system is doing exactly what it's built to do. You can work with this instead of against it. Rotate toys instead of buying new ones. The boredom isn't often about the object. It's about needing it to feel new again. Number 7, they calm down faster in your arms than anywhere else, even when nothing you're doing seems different. You pick them up mid-cry, you're not doing anything special, and somehow they settle within seconds. It can feel almost too simple to matter. This looks like nothing, but it's actually one of the most important signs on this entire list. Your baby's nervous system has learned that your presence is a reliable regulator. That's not instinct alone. That's a relationship your baby's brain has built, moment by moment, out of thousands of ordinary interactions. This is the essence of co-regulation, a concept central to attachment theory. Before a child can calm themselves down, they borrow the calm of a trusted adult over and over until eventually that ability becomes their own. And here's what matters most about this one. It doesn't require you to have been perfect. Misattunement is normal. Every caregiver misses cues, responds late, gets it wrong sometimes. What actually builds this kind of trust isn't flawless response. It's the return, noticing, and coming back. So if you've spent this whole video quietly cataloging everything you think you've gotten wrong, I want you to sit with something different for a second. The fact that you're watching a video like this, paying this much attention to your baby's inner world, already tells you something about the kind of parent you are. Notice how you feel right now. If there's a little tightness in your chest, that's not guilt, that's attunement. It's what it feels like to care this closely about getting it right. You don't have to get it right every time. You just have to be a good enough parent, present enough, responsive enough, willing to come back after the hard moments. That's the whole thing. That's enough. If this helped you see your baby a little differently today, send it to another parent who could use the reminder that their baby's weird little habits might actually be signs of something wonderful. Next time, we're going to talk about the signs that go the other way, the quiet ways a baby tells you they need more connection, not less. Until then, go watch them stare at that ceiling fan a little longer. You might be witnessing more than you think.